Hello and welcome to We Will Manage, the podcast exploring the weird and wonderful world of work. We're two young professionals figuring out our careers one conversation at a time. Today, we're talking about entrepreneur loneliness.
So stick around to discuss why you shouldn't be a solo founder, that complaining is key, and how you're not alone in feeling lonely. What are you drinking?
I am waiting for my tea to arrive. I am drinking water in the meantime.
Darling.
Darling,
is your tea being delivered, darling?
It is. By the same person I was just complaining about my setup too. I was like,
Little angels that put up with us, eh?
Yeah, setup's fine. No, go get my tea. Essentially.
I'll just enjoy my hazelnut juice.
Yeah, your liquid Nutella. Here comes my tea.
Aww.
Thank you, darling.
Very efficient. Darling.
Still change the setup if you want.
The setup's okay.
No, she just wants validation.
I just want validation. It's wonky, but it's fine.
No wonky. It fits. Oh, Saoirse, congratulations on the investment loan thingy.
Thank you.
Enough stories or something about.
Oh.
What a spoiler. I hadn't told you yet.
Yeah, I don't know what you're on about.
Oh, well, you should do.
I have no time for the social media.
Oh, girl's got a full-time job.
Congrats and goodbye.
Take Noxie with you.
What's the man?
He's busy chewing on his uke milk stick. Is that what it is?
What is that?
Yak.
Uke.
Oh.
Sounds like some strange, like, Norwegian instrument or something.
It does, yeah, I agree.
Yes, today's going to be a long day because I have allowed it to get to the day before the episode's supposed to come out, and I still haven't edited it.
Oh, no.
I'm editing it. I was editing it while I was waiting. But it's going to be okay because I'm already 10 minutes in, and it's only 15
Let me know
minutes.
if you need help for, like, uploading and stuff, because I've got speedy Wi-Fi. Maybe you have speedy Wi-Fi now, too.
No, tomorrow. In theory, tomorrow they're coming. I thought it was Tuesday, but apparently it was Thursday all along, so they're coming tomorrow. Theory, this is the last session. I feel like in the episode that I'm just editing, I say the same thing. But fingers crossed that this is for real this time.
Fingers crossed. My fingers are crossed. So, yeah, I mean, you've gotten the spoiler, but
Yeah.
I have big news.
So you've
So
got
yesterday...
invested?
Yeah, we got, it's even better than an investment. It's a massive interest-free loan.
Nice. How come?
100,000 francs.
Oh my. Those are a lot of monies. How come? Was it you apply? Like, I'm guessing you applied or something? But like, what?
Yeah, so it's like
Yeah.
a program in the canton, so in the region where I live.
Mm-hmm.
And basically there are lots of like programs that their objective is to promote economic growth in the canton. And this one is specifically for like technology and innovation. Mm-hmm. So deep tech, so actually developing something new. Yeah, exactly. It's basically, do you fit in the box? And then if you do fit in the box, then you have to do this big pitch. And so we did that yesterday. And then yesterday evening at like 9 p.m, I saw the email come in and I was home alone. And I was like, well, this changes things. We can actually fund our stuff now.
Oh my God, that's so amazing. Congrats. How exciting. When do you actually get the money? Have you got it? As in, can you start using it? Can you
Yeah,
start
as
paying with it?
soon as we like sign the contract and give them our bank details and everything. So within the next month, we will have this money in our bank account, which is pretty crazy.
Craziness. Amazing. Round of applause. Yeah.
Thank you.
Cheersing our milky beverages.
Last night when I got the email, I was actually, I don't usually check my work emails while I'm not at work. But I got a message from one of my friends and they were asking me like how I was. It'd been a while since I'd spoken to them. And I happened to tell them yeah, so I'm working on this company, and actually today we did this big pitch, and that could really change things, but I guess we'll see tomorrow. And then just because I'd said it, I was like, I'll check my inbox just in case. And I checked it, and I was like,
there.
oh, actually, update.
Oh my God. Oh, so
And
cool.
It was crazy. But like I was home alone, and then there's this massive thing, and I was like, I didn't know what to do. And I was like,
Oh, there's
I guess
energy.
I'll make myself a cup of tea and have some biscuits. So that's what I did.
Amazing. Best way to celebrate.
I
Only
even
thing
had
that could have
chocolate
made it
biscuits.
only thing that could have made it better is if you'd had some Baileys to put in your tea.
Oh, yeah.
Always need to have a
Yeah,
bottle of
so-
Baileys on hand.
Absolutely, I agree.
How exciting.
I've kind of started wrapping my head around it today. But last night, I was like, I didn't really, like, you don't believe it at first, and you're like, oh, hold on. Like, what does this mean? We can actually do stuff now instead of just say we're going to do stuff.
Yeah. Oh, that's so cool. That's so cool.
It's so cool.
Amazing.
So, yeah, I've had a very, very good few days.
Yeah, you can imagine. Right. So, the subject that I've picked, because we haven't actually talked about it.
We
So, what
haven't.
we're talking about today, surprising.
I had a
surprise for
little
you.
sneak.
Oh, did you?
Sneak
Okay.
look on the. But I can't remember what it is now. So
So, it's entrepreneur loneliness
Ooh.
is what I've picked.
What a brilliant topic for right now in your life.
Yes, exactly. So that's kind of because I saw it. We have a list. This is how we work. How we work. The two only seasons we've done, we create a list of things that kind of interest us, and then we go like picking from the tub. And I saw it on the list, and I thought, this is because it kind of ties into something that we want to talk about, which is moving, relocating for your job, because this is the reason that I relocated. So it's kind of like a wormhole or a rabbit hole inside of that topic that we also want to discuss. And I was like, because of everything that's happened recently, I think, this is going to be an interesting one to do and to talk about and to, just kind of, touch on now.
Super cool.
So let me quickly check. I want to see where the We Will Mondays that we've been doing are in reference to this episode.
In the meantime,
Okay.
I'm going to take off my glasses because I don't need to read anything.
You
But
don't
you
need
know,
to
it's
read
gotten to a point now where I kind of feel like I look kind of weird without my glasses when I see myself on camera.
That's hilarious.
Isn't that crazy?
Is it because you do a lot of Zoom meetings with them on?
Yeah, I mean, anytime I use my computer, I usually wear my glasses.
Yeah.
So like when I see myself in a mirror, I don't think I look weird. But when I see myself on my computer, anyway.
So in theory, this Thursday, it's my episode that I'm still editing. Then there's We Will Manage Mondays. Then the next one is your one, and the next. So like both We Will Manage Mondays have gone out for this episode, like because we're going to divide it into two. So, yeah. So the reason why this is a hot topic that we're saying for us, for me personally right now, is because if you've listened to our We Will Manage Mondays, I have just gotten a job in London, doing what I do. It's not a total pivot in my career. And yeah, so I've gone from being an entrepreneur and sole founder to being a employee in quite a big team, medium-sized team. So there's quite a lot of contrast. And like I said, this is feeling lonely in my job is one of the main reasons that I came to London to begin with. By the time this goes out, it'll be over 2 months that I've been in London. And yeah, Malaga just wasn't getting enough creators around me. I wasn't getting enough people around me to not feel this. So yeah, I have definitely felt this. I've definitely been there. And I think there's a lot of tie-ins with just loneliness in general, which I do know is something that they say that is at an all-time high in society, even though we are so connected, because it's so connected like online, people actually feel really lonely. So there are a lot of crossovers with just general loneliness, but we are focusing today on entrepreneurs. I'll be interested to see if you have any if you've ever felt anything that we're talking about today, because I don't know. And yeah, if it is something that you can feel also just as an employee or as a co-founder. Because some stats we've got here, stats like info that we've got and stuff, does talk about like sole founders versus co-founders, and co-founders can still feel a lot of the things that we're talking about today. But let's just jump in. So starting off with some stats, we've got all the details about these stats and everything will be in the show notes. 27% of entrepreneurs struggle with feelings of loneliness and isolation. So a word that's also come up a lot today, isolation, in today's episode. 76% of startup founders feel lonely, which is 50% more than just CEOs in general. So that's what I mean. A lot of times when people, they start up by themselves, and then even when they have a team around them, they can still feel like this because they can still feel quite isolated from their team. So with a lot of CEOs, it is something that also happens. And then specifically in the UK, because both of those were global, 59% of entrepreneurs experience anxiety, 38% suffer with depression, and 22% feel isolated. So
why does anybody choose to be an entrepreneur?
Yeah, basically. So first of all, what is entrepreneur loneliness? What are we talking about today? So it is the unique feeling of social isolation and emotional burden experienced by business founders due to their demanding roles, the pressure of making critical decisions alone, and the inability to fully share business struggles with friends and family. And I think when I read that, what really kind of resonated with me is the having to make those decisions alone, like the pressure that you feel. And like, even when I do, so I'm very lucky that my partner, he also is an entrepreneur and in a creative industry. And we would really try to like talk about things going on, especially when it was stressful, things that were, felt heavy. But it can be sometimes just really hard to like make someone fully understand. I feel like even just with normal jobs, when you've got like a drama or something happening, it's one of those things that can just, if you're not there, if you're not in it, it can just feel like it's just not explaining it, just doesn't cover it, like I can't explain how this feels.
You would need so much time to go through the whole context of the situation, maybe even have to explain your industry or like there's so many levels of, which is why when you first get to a company, you have to learn how everything works. So it's really hard to give anybody external to your role or to your company kind of that vision enough to understand what the drama is.
Absolutely. Before you get to the thing that's bothering you or the drama or whatever, you have to give about like 10 different context explanations first, and it just kind of feels like more effort than it's worth.
Yeah.
So I wanted to kind of take a moment to like separate exactly what the difference between entrepreneurial loneliness and just normal loneliness, the difference between them is, and then also just kind of the difference between entrepreneurial loneliness and work stress, because there is links, but they're not the same thing. So with general loneliness, it normally happens due to social isolation or lack of personal connections, whereas entrepreneur loneliness is deeply connected to the pressure of making all business decisions alone, bearing high responsibility and experiencing a lack of peers who fully understand what being an entrepreneur entails. So it's feeling alone in your job. And what's interesting is that a lot of people who say that they are entrepreneurs and they feel loneliness within their job, they kind of dig themselves a deeper hole and will also kind of isolate from friends and family, and they end up feeling lonely in lots of aspects. of their life. So very often one thing does lead to another, but you can feel lonely in your job and not in other, you can say I'm not a lonely person or I don't feel lonely in general, but still feel lonely in your business.
Mm-hmm.
And then with work stress, it's different in the sense that entrepreneur loneliness is the combination of work stress plus isolation and vulnerability. So it is like those high levels of like demanding and all of those things that you might feel just stress, a client's not happy, whatever, but all those kind of things build up, and then you also feel isolated because you have no one to talk to it about. You feel really vulnerable and just a lot of pressure, because if you don't do things right, then that might be the end of your business. And that's what leads to that loneliness. Do you have any experience with any of this? What are your thoughts?
It's interesting when you go through like the kind of the reasons why an entrepreneur is likely to feel this loneliness. And I can definitely relate hard on the idea of having to make decisions alone, because I'm in the lucky situation that I do have a co-founder, and any big important decisions we do run by each other. And then even just having that person to bounce off of and like validate, even if it's just I want him to agree with me anyway, so why don't I just take the decision myself? But it kind of validates that yes, that is the right thing to do. And if a second person is saying that, and also anybody else that's affected by that decision is agreeing with you, I do think that's a very privileged position to have that support. And in any situation in which, so I'm the CTO of the company, which means in theory I kind of deal with everything technology side of things, and he's more business side of things, but at the end of the day we do make all of the big decisions together. But in any situation where he says to me, this is your thing, I trust you, you can make the call, it does suddenly get a lot more stressful. And so I can imagine that being everything. it being really, really heavy, and I think like today, for example, that we had a pretty important meeting, and it was coming up, and my co-founder was in another very important meeting, and it was running over. So he sent me a message saying, hey, I'm not going to be ready for this next meeting. And I said, I asked him, do you want me to try and move the meeting, or should I just take it myself? And he said, whatever you want, I trust you. And then he hung up, and I was like,
now what?
So I took the meeting, but at that moment when he said I trust you, you make the call, I kind of took it as how dare you put that pressure on me to make that call, this is a really important meeting, and for me to decide whether I can take it on myself or not, which is obviously a really lovely gesture on his behalf, because he does show that he trusts me. But then suddenly there was this big pressure to decide whether I was capable of doing it alone or not. I was, by the way. It went great.
Of course you were. But I think it's the pressure of just responsibility. If someone else has okayed it as well, whatever decision that may be, then if it doesn't go wrong, you're sharing that kind of, that went wrong. It wasn't just me that made this kind of rash decision or whatever that is now not paid off. We both thought it was a good idea, and then it wasn't. So dealing with any backlash, I think, might be easier.
Yeah.
But
And also, I wonder if as a co-founder, maybe not, but I wonder if as a co-founder, when you are in a situation where you have to make a call on your own, does the pressure get even higher than if you're a sole founder, because you're thinking not only does this decision affect me, but it also affects them,
other person,
and you're putting pressure on yourself for the company, for yourself, but also for that co-founder. If I make this wrong decision, not only am I being affected, but also them. I wonder if that plays
I think it must do. Also, just from a pride kind of thing, if you're alone and you make a mistake, if you know, obviously, you know, and it's happened and it might affect your business, but it also might not. You might just lose a client and, you know, another one comes along and that's fine. And no one really needs to know about it, that you messed up. Whereas if you've got a co-founder, you've got someone kind of like holding you accountable for the good and the bad, you know, someone to be like, so what happened there? So yeah, I think definitely there's also probably like different layers to it as well, being a co-founder.
Because another thing you mentioned was feeling isolated, because the people around you. So in your personal life, you may not have. Because I can talk through any strategic decision with my co-founder, but maybe there are some things that I can't necessarily talk to him about, which are maybe things of how we work together, or, you know, things that you can't always discuss with your co-founder because maybe they're part of the discussion.
Of the problem. Discussion.
In that situation, I do feel really lucky that I also have a very supportive partner that I think I've
up to date.
Yeah, exactly. I've talked enough about the company and what we do and our context, and, you know, obviously I'm excited about what we do, so I talk about it. And he knows enough to then be able to support me through the hard times or through parts of of my company that I need to talk to somebody else about. So I do feel really lucky, but it's true that apart from him going into the details of trying to figure out a problem or like a tricky situation, even if it is something I discuss with my co-founder, but, you know, I also would like to discuss with other people, it would take a really long time and a lot of effort to get them up to date to be able to talk about that.
So I wanted to touch on some of the common signs and feelings entrepreneurs experience. I saw this and thought it was just really interesting. So we've got different kind of like categories. So we've got emotional symptoms. It can be feeling isolated and disconnected even when surrounded by people, wanting companionship and understanding, experiencing sadness or low mood, anxiety or stress. So these can be any emotional symptom that you might feel if you are going through loneliness as an entrepreneur. Physical symptoms can come across as experiencing aches and pains, heart palpitations, panic attacks, low energy, fatigue, and lack of motivation, which is like, yep.
I think I'd say lack of motivation is a massive one. Like as soon as you're putting too much pressure on yourself and feeling like it's not fun. Like I had a conversation with my co-founder recently, and we were like, we do this because it's fun, like we enjoy it. Otherwise we wouldn't be able to do it consistently for so long. And I think when you feel lonely, obviously you're not enjoying that, because feeling lonely isn't fun.
No, absolutely not.
So it's not good for the business.
Yeah. Then we've got mental strain. So we've got difficulty making decisions, which is just that feeling of feeling just kind of paralyzed, you know, of like, I don't know, because anything that I might decide is just too much. Reduced creativity, risk-averse behavior, and feelings of being overwhelmed or paralyzed by the weight of responsibility, which, I have definitely been there. I'm just having to like kind of walk away from it and be like, I just can't right now. I just actually it's too much and I need to walk away before I do end up having a panic attack or something. Then we also have social withdrawal, reduced social interaction, difficulty sharing business-related struggles with friends, family or employees. Even, like I said, when you've hired people and you have people in your team, but then even that can feel, like you can't kind of share stuff that's kind of going on. And often missing the camaraderie and feedback found in traditional work environments, which is what I'm now getting to kind of see as a contrast, which is very interesting. And it is very nice, like you were saying, of like being able, before you give the final sign off on something, to be able to say, can everyone just look over this before I do that? And, you know, just give it the okay, basically. it just makes such a small thing makes the absolute world of difference. It's crazy.
Yeah.
And the last thing we have is work-life imbalance. So working long hours, which lead to burnout, neglecting hobbies, families, and friends, can very often happen. Like you feel, like I said before, you feel lonely. You feel like you can't talk to other people about it. You feel like you're not understood. So you just kind of keep kind of leaning into that, because the opposite can be harder.
I also right now I'm kind of in a similar kind of transition period, because we recently hired our first intern. So he's taken the role of R&D manager, because we wanted to give him a cool title. And he's got the same kind of background as me, as in scientific background, has done the very similar studies. He's doing his master's degree now, so he'll be doing his master's thesis with us as a company. And
very cool.
So cool. And it's actually been so much fun, because I haven't had like a technical counterpart. Like I've always been, up until now, the one that knows the technical stuff. So
yeah,
I would have my conversations in, okay, what do you need to know for this to be a constructive conversation? Let me explain it quickly, and then we make the decision, you know? And now I have somebody that I can kind of chat to about the technology and about the scientific side, and he has real like constructive input on that, and it's such a big difference, and it's actually been so much fun. I've really enjoying it.
It is that. It literally is just whenever you are with other people that you can like bounce ideas and like brainstorm, it is just fun. Like there's just no other word. Like it just feels so much more motivating and like exciting, and it makes the world of difference. As an entrepreneur, if you do start off by yourself, you are the one person who's accountable for every major and minor business decision, and it's sometimes the minor ones that can almost like get to you more, because it just feels so overwhelming because there's so many. From strategy to finance to hiring, if you get to that point, and just any daily operations in general, it's all on you. And if you don't have that support system, then you can kind of lack having, like we were just saying, having someone to discuss ideas with, vent frustrations with, which I think is one of the very cool things about if you do start a company with somebody. I know a lot of people who is two people who start something, and I guess it is being able to just, you know, when things go wrong, like we were just saying at the beginning of the call, I just need to complain to somebody and somebody to listen and to understand. Yeah. You know, be able to vent all that kind of stuff. And not having any of that then just leads to feeling stressed and having a lot of self-doubt, which whenever we've spoken or like touched on imposter syndrome, that's where I felt it the most, when you're having to make these big decisions where you're like, I don't know. I've been working for a year.
How am I supposed to know?
I like literally no clue. Like more than doubting myself in can I create this branding for someone, it's self-doubt in business world, because they don't teach you business. I don't know if it's the same in other countries, but in all the schools I went to right up until I finished my master's degree, there was never anything to do with business, anything to do with any of that. So suddenly having to be the person making all these big decisions and, you know, things, you know, just things like investing and just all sorts, contracts, and you feel a lot of self-doubt. So the reality of doing it alone is basically knowing that if you make one wrong move, basically the success or the failure of the business depends on the choices that you're making. And that's what can kind of leads you to feel paralyzed. I think that is something that is just a really good way of describing it. Obviously there's the fight, flight, or freeze. I think in this case, I think most people do just get to that kind of freeze of just not knowing, or you have the flight and you end up doing really careless things without thinking about them.
Or quitting, it can get too much, and then instead of making a wrong decision, which is going to end your company or make it go badly, you're like, okay, no, this pressure is too much. I'm not enjoying it. I'm alone. I'm going to quit.
When we'd written down the title for this episode, it was Entrepreneur Loneliness and Why It's Not Talked About, or Why Nobody Talks About It, or something like that. I think having your own business and being a founder and all these things that sound really cool are very like success driven and are like very independent and have this culture of being very the hustle. You know, it's all very like you see all the success and like how if you work hard you get it and this and that, and it's so cool to have your own company because you can have your own hours and all this and, you know, all the things. And admitting that you might feel lonely or that it might be hard or that it might feel isolating is a little bit like pointing a big I'm weak arrow at yourself. And admitting that you can't do this thing that everyone else is saying is so cool and everyone else seems to be doing so well with it. Obviously, social media plays a big role in this because you see all the accounts of businesses of sole entrepreneurs who are doing really well, and they obviously only show the good bits. And it makes you feel like if you're not able to do it as well, and there's something wrong with you. And then not talking about it just makes isolation even worse. Basically.
I had something in my head, but I've forgotten what it is. But I guess you wouldn't want to show weakness either to your surroundings or like to people that could influence in the success of your company. And I remember what it is now. I guess that when you do found a company, it is like you say, everybody goes, oh, wow, that's so cool. And you kind of put yourself in a situation where that if you then are uncomfortable or stressed or feel lonely, if you could feel that if you were to tell your loved ones or people that are around you about that you kind of expect them to say, well, stop then, you know, like you've chosen to put yourself in this situation by founding this company. Why don't you just go and find a different, a different opportunity? And that's not the feedback you want, because you do want to continue. Like you've started this company because you want it to succeed, and it's just one of the steps in getting through that and understanding how to deal with that. You don't want people to then, or we always expect people to say something that they maybe say the contrary, but maybe that's one of the reasons that people don't mention it, is because they consider like they've put themselves in this situation. A bit like how people that have like dream jobs or like are YouTubers and travel for their job and stuff, they have a real hard time talking about the burnout and the tough times, because everybody's like, oh, what are you talking about? You work your own hours, you have this, you don't want to be situation
perceived as complaining, essentially. Also, it's like you said, people first reaction is normally of like, that's so cool, or you're so brave, or any of these words, and it kind of puts you in like a position where you feel like people are looking up to you. I know that for me there was a lot of like, because when people ask how it's going, they want to hear, especially because normally it's friends and family, and they want to hear that it's going well. They want to hear that you're having a great time. They want to hear that, it's sunshine and rainbows. And it can be really hard to be like, I'm actually really struggling, or this has actually been a really bad month, and all these things have happened, like, because people's perception of working for yourself and being an entrepreneur are all these, because of that's what the entrepreneurs put out there, of it being very glossy and fabulous and lovely lifestyle. And it's hard. It has got all those wonderful things about it, but that doesn't take away the things that aren't so wonderful about it. But you kind of feel like you have to justify it and just talk about the good things.
It's like that with so many things in life, I think. Like, it happens to me when I talk to like old friends about living in Switzerland. I mean, usually I have most good things to say, but you don't want to complain, because to them it's like, oh, you're living this amazing life in this. Yeah.
It's like you feel like they've put you in a place to look up to, and you don't want to let them down. You know, it's a interesting one. But enough of the bad things. I want to talk about some coping strategies and solutions, because there are solutions to everything. So number 1, I've put building a network of fellow entrepreneurs. If you can find people in your surroundings that are even just entrepreneurs, so that you can talk about like the business side of stuff, even if they're not the same field as you, even if they don't know the clients you're dealing with, there's still going to be a lot of stuff that you can talk about with 100%. Them. Second one I've put is finding a mentor. Can be really lovely. Both of these things I've put that kind of fall under the same umbrella of kind of finding a support system that kind of understands what you're going through. Even if it isn't down to the specific nitty gritty there, hopefully you can, you know, chat shit about your clients to your partner or your friends. Joining peer groups as well. Engaging with mental health professionals. So like just to be able to talk specifically about any of these kind of feelings. So if that looks like therapy or support group, whatever it might look like. And then one thing that we've talked about in pretty much every episode this season, which is setting boundaries between work and personal life. The understanding that just because you're an entrepreneur, your work is still your work, not your life. Be really, really hard. And then, just recognizing loneliness as a common experience. I feel like everybody can feel lonely in life, in work. Even if you are surrounded by employees, I feel like you can feel lonely. And just having an honest conversation can make the world of difference, of just kind of accepting it. Like, this is where I'm at and I really don't want to be here anymore. What can I do to change it? And rather than just burying your head in the sand, which I feel like is what a lot of people do, because you just don't want to talk about the fact that you feel lonely. It feels like such a weak and vulnerable thing to say, and it really, really isn't.
It's very brave to talk about anything mental health related. And then I think also put your business, like, obviously you want everything to go well for your business if you founded it. Make that the priority, and know that if you are going through these feelings of loneliness, of not having any support in these big decisions, know that what's best for your company is to find a support system, talk to people about it, even if it's like people external don't have anything to do with you. That's probably the easiest place to start. It will make the world of difference, and what's most important about your success is being able to carry on. So it's not going to happen if you're just burying your head in the sand and not working your best if you're feeling this.
It will lead to other things, like we said before, of like burnout and all sorts. So it probably isn't going to go anywhere good.
And I'd say even for the company, like, even if you don't consider your own personal burnout, because some entrepreneurs, I guess, don't care. One of the things that you said earlier is that people can be very risk averse when they feel like this loneliness, so they're not going to be willing to take risks. And being an entrepreneur, a big part of success depends on you taking the right risks, or taking risks, high risk, high return. So you need to be in a comfortable position to be like, know what, I got this, I'm going to take this risk, and then we'll see what happens. And we'll deal with what happens.
Exactly. Obviously, when you start something, you want it to succeed, and it feels like your baby, and you want it to do amazingly, but nothing is ever like the end of the world. You and your mental health always have to come first. And if something also, like, I'm sure anybody that's had some level of responsibility in their job has felt this, like, in the moment things can feel so big and important, and afterwards yes, okay, that was an important decision, but in the moment, I feel like you can get caught up in 1,000 things and definitely make a mountain out of a anthill. Is that the expression?
I don't know. You're on your own, mate.
In the moment, I feel like things can always feel a lot more crazy than they actually might be, and a lot more life and death than they might actually be as well.
Also, making mistakes is how we learn. Like, honestly, that's where we learn the biggest lessons, is making mistakes. So it's all a part of founding a company, and we all make a gazillion mistakes, and we just carry on, and that's how startups work, is because you go through the tough ones after making your mistakes.
Yeah, like I saw this thing that said like it's not about whether you make a mistake or not, it's about what you do with what you've learned after making the mistake. Like if you take that on board and actually like learn from it and get better from it. Get better, not bitter. For this episode, we asked our listeners if they had ever felt lonely as an entrepreneur, and if so, how did they deal with it? So some answers we got is, I found a network of entrepreneurs in the same industry. Nice to have people who can help you if need be, and a network of people to hang out with that have similar personalities. Somebody else said therapy. Short and sweet. Somebody else said, I'm in a networking group where we meet in person weekly. Somebody else said, schedule my time well so I have time to hang out with my friends. And somebody else said, I work at a co-working space most days a week. So these are all things, just to feel that sense of, also like one of the big things I've noticed as a difference now working as an employee for a company rather than for myself is how much easier it is to kind of get out of bed in the mornings, which makes it sound like I was struggling before, which is not the case. But it's like, I think we talked about it in an episode a couple of weeks ago. It's like you don't have a choice kind of thing when, even if it's because I'm lucky to be working hybrid. So today, for example, I was working from home, but it's still, you're getting up and you know that other people are kind of depending on you. Exactly. Expected to, if someone calls you at 9 saying that we need to have a meeting, you can't be like, oh, I'm still in my pajamas, give me a minute. You know, you still, it's a different level of other people expect me to show up. Other people are kind of holding you accountable, I guess. Whereas that, you might not have it. So if you do things like, for example, go to a co-working space and you want to go and you want to make the most out of it. So I feel like that's just the kind of thing that also it just can be motivating and feel like there's somewhere I'm going to and doing. And it's interesting how the human mind works.
We are a social being after all.
We are. I did, there were quite a few people saying that they have felt lonely as an entrepreneur, but they don't really mind it because they feel like they're introverts and that's something that they don't mind too much. And I do have to say that I do like my own company. Like I'm not someone who like super needs to be around people every day whereas other people do need that. So I think it can also depend, obviously. You can be quite happy being by yourself. And I think it's just, it's for me, the biggest thing was taking decisions, making decisions by yourself. There's, like I said at the beginning, there's probably quite a few crossovers with just general loneliness. I would love to go into a whole episode just about that. As we are a work focused podcast, I did want to keep it a little bit more work focused. But just loneliness in general is just such... like you said, we're social beings. We're not meant to feel lonely and alone and isolated. So my heart goes out to anybody. Anybody who's going through that.
And I do know that in the startup world, that's why co-founded companies are a lot more attractive to like investors and grants and everything that tries to evaluate whether you're going to succeed or not. When you're a solo founder, it's really difficult because you have nobody to like pull you through the tough times. You have Because when you co-found a company, you can kind of have ups and downs, and it's very often
Yeah.
going to be at different times. Whereas when
At
you're on your
different
own,
times you go, what are we doing?
yeah,
We crazy.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then there's always the other one to kind of be like, no, we got
No,
this.
no.
Don't worry, we got this.
Yeah, we're good. I got you. Yeah, 100% makes total sense. But yes, so we hope you enjoyed this. If you have anything to add that we missed, like what we always say, we would love to know thoughts and feedback. And yeah, we can always touch on anything that we might have missed or just overlooked in a different episode. And yeah, aside from that, we will see you next week for...
We're going to talk about the art of doing nothing.
Nice.
And not freaking out about it.
So yeah, see you there.
See you there. Have a nice week.
Have a nice